Man, I'm tired of this shit.
Dude, I was listening to that. Leave it alone.
This is absolute trash.
I don't care. Driver picks the station. Shotgun shuts his cake hole.
Passenger gets first dibs on everything. I have my finger on the button.
You know what? You want to fight about it?
Yeah.
Okay,
fuck
fine.
you.
Hey,
Fuck you.
leave it alone.
No.
It's mine.
Turn your trash off. Now look what you did.
Okay, who's starting this? Or are you starting this, or am I starting this?
Well, you just started it, so I'm not sure exactly what we're talking about here.
Well, okay, well then fine. Welcome to the Dissonant Harmonics podcast, everybody. My name is Frasier.
That's a lie, but my name is Josh.
No, his name is Joshua.
All right, Francine.
You have no idea how many people. Oh, man, that's from the old Bob's days.
Francine.
Yeah, that's what Tom always called me.
Oh, well.
Anyway,
All right.
Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast about music, ladies and gentlemen, mostly rock and metal. I'm Frasier. Obviously, that's Josh. We are here to talk about the music and metal things. Sorry we've been a little inconsistent, but as you probably know, it's the Christmas season, and life's a little screwy right now, so leave us alone.
Man, I hate Christmas.
No, you don't.
I do.
No, you probably hate Christmas in the way Corey Taylor hates Christmas.
No, I legitimately hate Christmas. It's a fake holiday made by the Hallmark Channel.
No, that's Valentine's Day.
Both of them.
That's Valentine's Day. It's not
Both
made by
of
the
them.
Hallmark Channel. The Hallmark Channel has just decided to jump on it and make every single movie that they've ever made about a single, lonely, hard-headed businesswoman that moves back to her hometown for Christmas and meets some sweet dude in a flannel that knows how to change a tire.
That's your Hallmark movie.
That's not my Hallmark movie. That's how, I'm not a strong-headed businesswoman that's a lawyer that moved back to my hometown and met a studly man in a flannel.
Man, I love the movie Sweet Home Alabama.
Right. Anyway, we got lots of news to get through because we've been out of it for a little bit, so we are going to start where we want to start. Josh, do you want to start?
Ronnie Radke is a straight-up child bitch.
Never let it be said that Josh has any room in his heart for Ronnie Radke.
I enjoy Ronnie Radke up until a couple of years ago, where it's just like, he's being a troll for the sake of being a troll, and I have friends that are like that, to the point where it's just like, you have to tell them, hey, your troll is showing, knock it the fuck off.
Right.
But we can't argue with somebody that makes, triple platinum on like a fucking single.
Yeah. Oh, you want to mention that one since you just brought it up?
Yeah, he got triple platinum on a single anyways. So, Ronnie Radke has been stating that not only are they not doing their UK shows or UK tours, whichever one of them, because, there's this thing called Ronnie Radke's a felon and didn't look into the passport laws and is surprised when the passport laws say that he can't travel because he's a felon. It's actually in the UK bylaws that apparently you can't travel there.
But I thought that they said that he was allowed. Now, tell me if I'm wrong here. I thought part of the stipulation, the reason he's kind of throwing his fists around, is because he was allowed there some time back, and then someone basically went, oh, wait, hold on, we can't allow him back in. Is the real reason he's having a hang-up, is that it was all planned and done and ready to go and everything was prepared, and then basically someone went, oh, look, there's a bylaw that says he's not allowed in. Oops.
Yeah, exactly. So they rejiggered the laws out there, saying that basically he's not able to travel out there for this show.
Right. So basically, somebody somewhere, or a group of somebody somewheres doesn't like Ronnie Radke and wanted to make sure that he couldn't show up. So they were like, "Oh look, oops, sorry, you can't make it." Which to me seems fair as to why he'd be a little angry about it.
Yeah, but it's not that it's fair. Now, what I actually find kind of funny about it is the fact that he's stating that the UK economy is going to take a huge hit because Falling in Reverse is not playing out there.
Ronnie, you're not Death Clock. It won't happen. It's not how that works. You are not the world's 8th largest economy.
Oh, man, I haven't watched Death Clock in forever.
I know. We got to watch that. In other news, obviously, again, some of you might know this, but Sum 41 unfortunately had to pull off of the Australian tour and actually pull out. This is all going to be one big headline, thus causing Electric Callboy to be elevated to the position of the main headliner for the festival and tour in Australia. But with that also being said, Electric Callboy's drummer had to pull out because he got sick. And so Sum 41's drummer is filling in for Electric Callboy's drummer, who has now been elevated to the headlining position that Sum 41 used to have. Obviously, there's plenty of speculation. There's plenty of speculation. I saw on the internet plenty of people that are out there that are just... I don't know how to put this. I'm going to say this as nicely as possible and knowingly that there's all sorts of respect for Derek Whibley, and also that the dude has obviously been through hell and back between his addictions and obviously sexual assaults that he has talked about with his manager and stuff, especially as of late. But a lot of people out there are trying to say that this has nothing to do with his alcohol and drug problems of the past. And I go, bro, that man has so many health problems at this point that have been directly caused and linked to his drinking. Not that he's drinking now. It's not like I'm judging him and saying he's a drunk or whatever. I'm saying you have to understand that the amount of damage that he has done to his body with trying to cover up trauma and such, there are going to be health issues. You can't sit there, like people are trying to say, this has nothing to do with his drinking. I think it does. Like, you can't just ignore that he just burned himself out for so long. And to be fair, he doesn't look healthy either. He looks like he's having a hard time. So I hope he recovers. I hope his body can fight back the trauma that he's done to it physically. But yeah, I mean, this is going to happen. When you have a singer who, especially at his body size, he's not a big dude that's destroyed it. It doesn't take much. So, I mean, I hope he recovers always. I love Sum 41, but there's a reason they're retiring after these tours. There's a reason they're stopping, and I think it's because Derek needs to let his body heal up. And if that means sitting in bed for a month and just letting his body completely detox and flush everything out, then so be it.
He's got to go on the book tour, though.
Well, yeah, whatever. But
well, I think he's canceling parts of his book tour too.
Yeah, I mean his health. Again, I don't mean this to sound rude or degrading, but if you look at him, you can tell he's not healthy, and by that I mean like not that he's addicted again, but his body is decaying more or less. Poor dude has been through the ringer. It's just how it is. It happens.
Well, yeah, especially being in Sum 41, that they pretty much exploded as soon as that first album came out. So, I mean, they've pretty much been on a nonstop trajectory for a long time.
Oh, yeah. And they're so I watched a video with their drummer, because their drummer has a YouTube channel now. Their old drummer, the guy that used to do the rapping in Fat Lip, they specifically pushed for Fat Lip to come out first so that they would have this hardcore edge to them. And then In Too Deep came out. So, like, Fat Lip gave them the room to be a little poppier than they wanted to be. And In Too Deep came out, and they were like, kaboom, and they were everywhere. So yeah, I mean, that band has been through the ringer, and I don't mean that lightly. They have been through it all. So, and I mean, he even dated Paris Hilton. I'm surprised he survived that. That's hell on earth.
Well, I mean, he was with Avril Lavigne too for a long time. Surprised putting up with her.
Guy. Right.
So bad that even Chad Kroger didn't even want her.
2 years into that, goodbye.
Bye.
Further on to that, again, most of you might know Iron Maiden's Nico McBrain announced retirement after 42 years in Iron Maiden. For those of you that don't know why he did this, he specifically announced that he was retiring just because, guess what? Age happens. Again, same with Derek. Age happens, and he specifically said he can't keep up with the songs anymore. And if the guys in Iron Maiden want to keep going, they just need to find a drummer that has the chops and has the speed and has the ability, which I think that's the right way to go out. I have a hard time when you see bands playing way beyond when they should be to try to keep the magic alive. It's like, guys, just call it quits when you have to. When your voice doesn't work anymore, when your hands don't work anymore, when your body doesn't work anymore, hang it up and let other people cover your songs for years to come.
Well, yeah, and I mean, anybody that can just do a gallop on double bass drum can pretty much have Iron Maiden's gig.
Right.
As long as you can gallop on that, I mean, that's all Iron Maiden does is gallop.
Right.
It's kind of like Opeth. If you listen to Opeth's music, you can just hear a galloping drum, and that's pretty much all you need to know.
Right.
All right, let's move on to Well, no, because Iron Maiden did actually do have a new drummer already going for the next set of shows because they kind of
Yep.
announced a few days in advance that like the next show is going to be his last. So they already had a new drummer lined up. I don't have it brought up of who it is. I'll bring it up later.
Yeah,
But
they had this planned. This was smart. Again, this was also smartly planned out. It wasn't a secret. It wasn't hidden from anybody. It was like, hey guys, just know that at the end of this run, I'm retiring. I'm old. Someone else is coming in to take my place. Please be nice.
well, at the same time, I mean, Iron Maiden's a business. Like
Oh yeah.
they have transcended being a band and have gone into business status, like kind of like how Slipknot is, where it's like
The difference is Slipknot is the bad kind of business, and Iron Maiden is like, hey, we're sticking to our brand the way we originally made it.
speaking of Slipknot, hey, you remember that Slipknot album that they talked about releasing that they didn't release, but they definitely talked about releasing because they have it, but they said they're going to release it, and then they didn't release it, and now they're talking about releasing
First
it
off,
again?
I'm going to correct everything you just said. We can't say they. It's Sean. It's fucking Clown. It's always
Hey,
been Clown.
you remember that album that Clown talked about releasing, but then didn't release because they said they were going to release it, and then they just haven't released it when they were going to release it?
Yeah. And they've
Anyways.
been teasing it for like 20 years now.
So, for those who don't know, Slipknot does have another album that was recorded during the sessions for the album that became All Hope Is Gone in 2008. That's the last album with Paul Gray on bass.
And it specifically wasn't written or recorded with all the members. It said that some of the members went off and recorded this. Like it was like a basically a side piece.
It was like Corey, Jim, Paul,
Sean.
and Sean. As far as
And
I'm
probably-
aware.
And could be Joey at the time, possibly.
Let's ask him. Wait a minute. We can't. Anyways.
Basically, the core songwriting group had some extra creative juices and went off to go kind of just plink around and see what they could come up with.
So they have another album that's basically on a back burner called Look Outside Your Window. It's been described by Sean Cran multiple times as sounding more of a Radiohead vibe, more of a proggier vibe, but has said that he's not sure if they want to release it because it's not what Slipknot fans would want.
Yeah.
Like it's very experimental, but said that everything's done, and he's talked again about releasing it now that it's been mastered. It has album artwork, like it's all done and good to go. But it said that they're going to release it at the end of last year. Here we are at the end of this year, talking about it again, saying I want to release it, but I don't know when. Now Jim Root, the guitar player of Slipknot and Stone Sour, has said that. Who?
Remember, he was fired from Stone Sour.
How do you get fired out of your own band? Wait a minute.
He was fired back after Paul Gray
fired
died,
by Corey.
and Joey was removed from Slipknot. The rumor going around is that Corey specifically wanted Jim to only focus on Slipknot, and also that they wanted Stone Sour to be a radio-friendly pop rock band, which is not where Jim wanted to go with it. So they basically asked him to leave Stone Sour. So he hasn't been in Stone Sour since the House of Golden Bones albums. He was out of the band before those albums.
Well, and Corey also said that basically he wrote all the riffs for Stone Sour. So it sounds like Jim didn't really do a whole lot with Stone Sour, if you want to believe Corey Taylor.
Corey brought him into Stone Sour is what it sounds like. I could be wrong.
Yeah, but Jim Root of Slipknot and Stone Sour fame has said that he also knows of the record and has access to it, and has said that if Sean does not release it on his own accord, then he could very well just, quote, upload to YouTube on my own without his permission. So at least that tells you that probably at least those two worked on that album, but I'm kind of surprised they all have access to it and can go through the means of just releasing it on their own.
Well, my assumption is due to the fact that, here's my assumption, right? I think that Jim, or however it worked out, somehow they each have either Jim has enough rights to it to release it without permission because he owns enough of it, or he owns most of it because he probably wrote most of the riffs for it. So something tells me that beyond management material, which would be Sean and Corey, he has the ability to release it with full permission. Because he owns most of it. That would be the only thing I can think of.
I just don't really. I feel like it's more of just a gimmick than anything. Like, I feel like it's going to be. I want to say that the song "Till We Die," it's on the deluxe edition of All Hope Is Gone. I want to say that they said that song was originally from those studio sessions.
Right.
But then they decided to release it when they re-released All Hope Is Gone for a deluxe edition that has, I think, 1 or 2 other songs and some remixes and stuff like that. But I mean, "Till We Die" doesn't really feel like a Slipknot song, but I do believe they play it live now to close out their shows.
Right. And I apologize. I just want to go back and say this. The only album without Jim Root for Stone Sour has been Hydrograd.
Yeah, because Hydrograd was their last album.
Yes.
Right?
That is correct. I am sorry I screwed that up. Obviously, Jim Root was on both House of Golden Bones Part 1 and 2. Boom. So...
Those are actually solid albums. Those are probably my favorite Stone Sour albums.
They were good. I think the big thing with Look Outside Your Window is that it is the... How do I put this?
It's the Great White Whale.
It is the Dr. Dre follow-up to The Chronic that will never be released.
Yeah.
Because Dre never thinks it's ready. And here's how I always view those kind of situations. And so now it's almost like become part of the lore of Slipknot, if that makes sense.
Because you have the first Slipknot album too that kind of falls in that same category. The one with Anders on vocals.
Right. It's become part of the marketing machine and the brand that is Slipknot to have this mysterious something somewhere, and in this case it's an album that fans can't seem to get a hold of. I am kind of happy though that Jim finally, somebody, I shouldn't say Jim, I should say anybody.
Somebody's coming out.
Basically said, look, I'm about to release this damn thing my own self if you won't do it, clown, because we're tired of fucking the fans around. And I have a feeling that Sean doesn't care because Sean's all about marketing and managing. But I feel like the actual artists, Jim, are actually like, look, quit dicking people around and give them what they've been asking for. Whether or not they like it is up to them. Who gives a shit? Which is my thing. Like, if you're going to sit on something creatively because you're not sure if it's ready yet, guess what? It's like being a parent. You will never be ready until it happens.
Yeah, and with how big Slipknot is, too, they're not going to lose money off of releasing this.
Absolutely not. Josh knows this. I'm not sure if I've talked about it on the podcast, not to brag. I'm currently in the studio right now recording on an album myself, my own album. But if I sat there, like right now, whenever we start the podcast, Josh and I pick up our basses and guitars and kind of goof around for a minute and talk. If I sat here and went, oh shit, I should add that part to that song and I should add that part to that song, and sat there all day and thought about all the things I should tweak or fix or add or change, there would never be an album released. Sometimes you just have to be like, you know what? I think this is good as we're going to get it. I can add a million things to it, but it'll never make... If the bones of the song aren't good, then the song's not good. I can add all the layers I want, but you just have to do it.
Yeah, and it's like revisiting some of your old stuff too is another big issue that they might end up having, is just going back over it and same thing. Like, well, we could tweak this and make it sound a little bit better. We could do that and make it sound a little bit better. God forbid if they re-record anything to do on it, because I don't feel like they ever would.
Right.
No, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things like, you know, it's as illustrious as their first album, where they never fully actually released it unless you like went to the first shows and got it on a fucking burnt CD. But then Anders had to go back with his new band, re-record it and put it back out, and it sounded like garbage.
Right, and it was a complete disaster on the PR side anyway.
Oh man, that whole album was we should go over a deep dive of just how badly that whole situation got fucked real quick.
We kind of did. We did a giant section of news on that, but we could do a full deep dive on it. But moving on into lighter-hearted news. I don't have lighthearted news. I do. If you're fans of Sleep Hearted, oh my word, you've totally screwed me up.
What now?
What in tarnation? If you are fans of Sleep Token, you'll also know that they are probably fans of the Switch. You'll know that because here's my thing. I thought this was hilarious.
So Frasier has now told me his unrequited love of Slipknot after I've been telling him, Slipknot we already knew.
Are you
Sleep
okay?
Token. I'm having a
Okay,
stroke.
raise your hand if you had coffee this morning.
I've had three cups and an energy drink, and I'm having a stroke. I'm finally at the end of my life. It's finally happening.
Okay, I haven't had any coffee, so that's my problem. I haven't had any caffeine.
I have two children.
Who am I a fan of?
Christina Aguilera.
Yeah, too.
The low-rise jeans is what gets you, huh?
Uh-huh. Are you kidding me? I was a 90s kid. Low-rise jeans and a crop top? Yes, please.
That's what he wore to school every day. I can confirm it. But anyways, so Frasier has texted me his unrequited love of Sleep Token now after convincing him after all this time that he'd like him. Somebody over there, right. I'm always right. It just takes time for you to realize it.
Yeah. But
anyways, continue. They're fans of Nintendo.
Personally, I think this was all part of like the show. Did you watch the video of this at all?
I saw screenshots of it, but I couldn't tell if it was a Switch or a Steam Deck, but something tells me it's probably a Switch.
Yeah, so I think it's a Switch, but my thing is, if you watch the video, I encourage anybody to go watch the video because it's almost silly the way it happens. Somebody starts the video on their cell phone, and a tech who's obviously got like the giant headphones and like the battery packs and stuff, is on stage already with Vessel, and Vessel is playing with
Vessel is the lead singer of Sleep Token.
Yes, and it looks like a Steam Deck or a Switch. And I'll be honest, from the angle that we had, I thought it was a Steam Deck because it looked way bigger and bulkier than a Switch. I have heard rumors that Sleep Token's camp has come out and officially said that it was indeed a Nintendo Switch. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
The only difference is he's either playing Legend of Zelda or he's playing Half-Life.
Right. But the funny thing is, hold on. Okay. The funny thing is what happens is he's like pointing at it and playing it and all this stuff. And all of a sudden he hands it back to the guy. And the guy's like, okay, cool. And like steps back, right? And he stands there and he actually starts waving at Vessel. Well, the stage drops out underneath him. So the guy slowly goes down like he's on an elevator, and he's just in the middle of the stage, slowly disappearing into the stage and like waving at Vessel. So here's my thing. I think it was how do I say this? Somebody also said like there was also rumors that it could have been a console for a lighting rig that maybe the tech couldn't figure out, or maybe there was an issue with like it was a wireless pack for a mic. It could have been a million different things, right? It was just a handheld console that looks like a video game console. But point being, my opinion is it was all part of the show.
I can agree with you on that one.
I thought it was a lighthearted little joke because it was a big instrumental section that Vessel isn't singing. So I had a feeling that it was just a giant, like little, like a, not a giant, but like a little, like lighthearted play around on stage to get people to giggle and have a good time while they're actually experiencing this really serious show that is Sleep Token.
Well, it's like you see that kind of stuff with like bands making jokes about it, where it's like you have them in the studio and they're talking about like what the singer does when the rest of the band is doing their instrumental parts, and you see like, you know, the singer going off and like having a smoke or grabbing a drink or like sitting down and watching like an episode of Friends while the band does their instrumental parts. I mean, I feel like with Sleep Token, the music is, you know, take it as you want, but it's so serious in tone due to its lore that they're allowed to kind of have that breathing room and be kind of goofy on stage. Like watching Vessel dance is a fucking trip.
Right. See, that's what I'm saying. I think
he dances like Goofy from Mickey Mouse.
I think the whole thing was set up as like, hey, this is a big, serious, like hardcore event. Like, and to be honest, Slipknot, I almost did it. Sleep Token does have that dark, foreboding energy to it. So, hey, let's lighten the mood for all of 15 seconds of a show, right?
It's got that, like, dark, sexy, just, like, taboo sound. And meanwhile, here's this singer who, you know, has this lore built around everything that Sleep Token does. Literally almost to the point of 21 Pilots level. Oh, by the way, he's playing fucking Pokemon on stage while the rest of the band is jamming out.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, hold on, I gotta finish this little section of Mario Kart.
I'm about to catch Moltres. Come on, give me a break. Play it for another 10 minutes.
Here's some other news. We skipped this over in the pre-show, so I want to hit this because it'll lead us into your next topic that you want to talk about.
Depends on which topics you're talking about.
You're going to know exactly what I'm referencing. You know it. You're going to know exactly what I want you to talk about because I'm putting this on a tee for you.
You can't know me. I'm unknowable.
In the news of festivals, the Rocklahoma original owners have gotten the rights back and have regained the ownership of the annual event. Which, for those of you that don't know, the only other rock festival bigger than Rocklahoma is Rock on the Range in America. I think Blue Ridge used to be the biggest until that debacle all took place. But the original
go back to season one, and we'll talk about that.
Right. Apparently, I did a little bit of research, not a whole lot, but the original owners were apparently an older couple, and I don't know how old older is, but the 8 months ago, the festival was acquired by Danny Widmer Presents, which apparently, to be fair, a few people are actually a little bit perturbed by this because apparently DWP is actually a really good festival promoter. They actually put on very good, high level, excellent festivals. So my assumption is what happened behind the scenes. I could be dead wrong, doesn't matter. The original owners weren't sure how to put it on or didn't have the money to put it on the next year. They sold it to DWP. DWP had it, and then somehow, whether it be donations or the death in the family, whatever, the original owners got the money back to buy back Rocklahoma, and DWP said, yeah, it's your festival. Here, take it back. We'll just trade it for a zero-sum game. So I kind of think it's a good, heartwarming story to see that Rocklahoma is in its original founders thing, because it's supposed to. I've seen videos and interviews of LeJohn from Seven Dust talking about Rocklahoma, and people asking him what it's like being at Rocklahoma every year. He goes, "Dude, it's like a giant family reunion. It's it's all run by a mom and pop shop. All of our friends are here. We all get to hang out behind the scenes and just eat food and see all of our friends that we don't get to see all year round unless we're on tour with them." So I kind of have a feeling that Rocklahoma behind the scenes is supposed to feel like a small town festival for it being one of the biggest rock festivals in America.
Right. No, I can definitely agree with you on that one.
So
from what I've heard, because I remember LeJohn talking about that too.
Yeah, Rocklahoma is known as hey, dude, Zach Wilde's walking by. How you doing, buddy? Haven't seen you since September or whatever. So, with that being said, that leads us into our next little tidbit of festival news.
All right, well, my next tidbit of information about festival news was definitely not that. I was going to talk about My Dying Bride. But no.
Oh, I thought...
You think you know me. You think you know me.
I was going to help lead you into festival news, that's all.
I am unknowable. Unknowable! But yes, no. In other not-so-fun festival news, Sick New World 2025 was unceremoniously killed off before it could even go.
Why is that?
So what has been reported is that it is unforeseen circumstances for the show on April 12th to not go as planned. What unforeseen circumstances probably actually means is that, we put Metallica and Linkin Park as headlining acts, and we can't afford it.
I don't even think it's that. I think that's part of it. I think that's a small part of it. Do you want to hear my opinion on this?
No, I don't want your opinion.
Okay,
so,
never mind. We're moving on.
It debuted in 2022 with System of a Down headlining that year for the year and the following years, and those all sold out. Every single ticket they had, they sold out and all that. So people are kind of wondering what stops this from happening.
Ooh, pick me!
So,
pick me! I know
all these bands have also been, just because of that, I'm picking somebody else.
Okay.
So, what has been kind of talked about with this is that some of these bands, people are complaining about now these bands, were signed on to do this festival show. Now, they're losing out because it got canceled. These bands have also already been paid, a fraction of what they're supposed to be paid for non-refundable sections of the tickets that went out. But so that being said, let's think about this for a minute. Let's do some math, but I don't have numbers for you, so let's not do math. This 1-day event. Let's think about this too. This was a 1-day event. Frasier's just like sitting on his balls, kind of like maneuvering around because he has so much to say to me right now.
Yep.
Look at this pencil I found. Look at it.
Get on with it. Get
So-
on with it.
This 1-day show in Las Vegas had 60 different groups playing on 1 day. And we knew how Mayhem Fest ran with 25 of these bands
Yep.
and how tight. So we're talking Metallica, Linkin Park, Queens of the Stone Age, Evanescence, AFI, Ministry, Gojira, the fucking return of Acid Bath after 25 years, Flaming Lips, Down, and a bunch of other bands. I'm not naming all 60. Fuck you.
By the way, just no name bands. Just nobody knows who any of these bands are.
Okay, we know who these bands are.
That was a joke. I was being sarcastic.
The rest of the bands I don't know about. But
But can I give my opinion now?
yes, Frasier, you may give your opinion now.
So I did a little bit of research on this. Here was the biggest problem. The first Sick New World was reasonably priced because they weren't sure how it was going to go. This one, and part of it is what you said, Metallica and Linkin Park are the main headliners, right? Tickets were so astronomically high priced this year, no one
I think
was
you had
buying.
like $12 or $1,500 for a VIP ticket.
No one was buying. The unforeseen circumstances were the fact that they thought that they would sell out tickets like crazy because they booked these giant headlining bands. Problem is, people went, yeah, screw you. Tickets are $1,200 to $1,500 for VIP. Plus, it's only in Vegas, so we all have to fly in. You're asking us to spend. Let's just put it this way: you're asking us to spend about, after plane tickets, depending on where you come from, after concert tickets, you're asking us to spend $1,000 to $2,000 just.
Oh,
to
you're
go
forgetting
to see
you're forgetting hotel stay. You're forgetting food. You're forgetting transportation.
That's why I'm saying $2,000. Because, like, for an average ticket, let's say it's $500 for an average ticket, which I guarantee you it's going to be higher than that. Plus plane tickets. Let's say it's
Standard tickets were, I believe, $475.
Right. So let's say it's between $1,000 and $2,000 for an average ticket that's not VIP and your round trip airfare. That's for one person. You're asking us to pay $1,000 to $2,000 per person for an average fucking ticket for a 1-day event in Vegas.
And this is only the second or third time this festival has gone on.
Right. The reason this festival broke down wasn't because there was anything shady. Their unforeseen circumstances are, oh shit, we jacked the prices up so high that no one wants to buy tickets because the economy sucks. Well, let's just cancel it because no one's going to come anyway.
Well, like I said, you have Metallica and Linkin Park headlining this entire festival. You could do with one or the other.
Right. Easy. And then hire 20 more lower level bands that a bunch of people will come see.
I mean, shit, you put those concert tickets down to like $200 a piece. I guarantee you, the people that followed Acid Bath back in the day will pay that to go see Acid Bath after 25 years.
Absolutely.
I know I sat there for a good while with me and the guitar player of our band. We sat there like, we could afford to go if we combined money. We could go just see Acid Bath and come home.
All right. So what was next after Sick New World being an absolute dumpster fire?
So I got two real quick ones about two different bands switching vocalists. So Frasier doesn't know this band, but My Dying Bride has been around for a long, long time. They are probably the most depressing band I have ever heard in my life. The singer is very sad. Think The Cure if not Robert Plant. Who's the singer of The Cure?
I have no idea.
All right, well, imagine the singer of The Cure singing for like a doom metal band.
Oof.
And yeah, they are very sad. But My Dying Bride revealed in a statement that they have a new singer fronting them for live purposes coming up in 2025. This new singer is the vocalist Miko Katamaki. Something Swedish.
Terrific.
Something Swedish.
I'm from Scandinavia and I'm Swedish, so I am.
I'm a bit Swedish. No, so better known as the singer of Swallow the Sun is going to be fronting the band, and this is kind of a weird spin around because they just released a new album that they're touring on. So now their original vocalist is not going to be part of these shows coming out for this new tour. So their normal lead singer Stainthorpe has another band that's being described as, quote, a death pop band called High Parasite. Said that they're releasing their debut album, Forever We Burn, confirming that problems within the group for My Dying Bride had created an impasse. And said that in a Devolution magazine interview, he talks about that they worked tirelessly without a manager and that he and another band member have been handling all those responsibilities themselves. So it sounds kind of more that he's probably just burnt out.
Right.
And then he said that because they had just been on hiatus for a little bit too before they released their new album, and said that in the same interview that they were basically becoming two grumpy old men and that they want to take a break before they have a massive breakup of the band. But it sounds like he has decided that they're going to go on without him. So this other singer, the one that sings for Swallow the Sun, will be doing double vocal duty because he will be doing My Dying Bride and Swallow the Sun, who also put out a new album last year. So this guy's going to be, I hope he doesn't have a family because he's never going to see him ever again.
Honey, I'm going to be on the road. For how long? Yes.
Yes. So 2025 at the Rock Marathon Festival in Hungary in the first week of July will be the first show with Swallow the Sun's vocalist singing with their new album Mortal Binding. So it's gonna be interesting. And then Ingested also, the lead singer of Ingested left. We did talk about one of their albums in the past when it first come out. So they're kind of doing the quintessential we've decided to part ways kind of thing. Their singer said that we've decided to part ways. But Ingested posted a picture of a hand holding a microphone talking about how they're doing rehearsals with their new singer. It took the internet 2 hours to deduce that it was who the singer was just based off of a hand tattoo. Do I have that information pulled up? I don't. But Ingested will be having a new vocalist on their new album coming out probably in the next 2 or 3 years. So there you go.
You would think after the whole Slipknot thing that people would know, or that bands would know, that if you upload a picture of even the hands of the singer and there's a hand tattoo, the singer's going to be exposed immediately.
I know it's the singer of the band Monstrosities. I know I've listened to them a little bit, but I've heard that guy before. And I mean, Ingested's kind of one of those bands to me that they kind of fly under my radar because they pretty much put out very similar music to the last album they put out. I can't remember. I want to say that Ingested was on Franz's label. It was on Stay Sick.
Stay Sick?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was at least they got their start on that label. I don't know if they still are now, but I want to say that they started on there because it was one of their first like deathcore-ish acts to have on that label. But, expect that these bands are going to sound a little bit different over the next couple of years. So I'm pretty sure that's all I got besides our topic.
I will also say I'm going to leave the next section up to Josh because we're already at 40 minutes in. Josh, do you think we should shelve album reviews for today, or should we shelve the topic? Because by the time we get done with album reviews, we're not going to have much time.
I'll Rochambeau you for it.
Oh, I don't care. You pick. Which one do you want to talk about more? Vended and Kane Hill's new albums, or do you want to talk about something Gene Simmons said?
I fucking hate Gene Simmons. Well, think about it this way. Do you want me complaining for the next 20 minutes, or do we want to talk about albums for the next 20 minutes?
Let's talk about albums, because I think that'll be a gooder mood.
So next week, you guys are gonna get pissed off, Josh, like Suicide Silence level pissed off, Josh. So Frasier has to prepare for a week for that.
Not only that, but you're gonna get that level pissed off Frasier too, because Frasier hates what Gene Simmons is saying, and it's driving me nuts.
All right, we'll sit on this for another week. All right, album reviews. So
Gene Simmons' loudmouth isn't going anywhere.
Unfucking fortunately.
Right. Would you like to go first?
So we picked two albums that I feel like are similar, but also very, very opposite.
I can agree with that statement as backwards as it is.
Yes. So we've decided to do these two albums. So one is the new album from Vended, which is going to be coming from Frasier. And mine's going to be the new Cane Hill album, A Piece of Me I Never Let You Find. So this is Cane Hill's third album. And if you guys have Spotify, you'll know that Spotify kept listing this as an EP. I actually really, I don't know why I keep plugging these guys, but check out the Garza podcast talking with Cane Hill. I think it might have just been Elijah and their guitar player.
Yeah, Whit and the guitar player. I can't think of his name right now.
So, talking about Spotify's really fucked up algorithm when it comes to releasing songs and singles that have the same album art instead of listing it as a straight single. We've talked about this before. I think we even brought this up the last time we talked about Cane Hill or anything like that. I know it's come up. So, this is actually a full album. It's not an EP like Spotify was trying to put, because they put out 6 of the 12 songs. It's Frasier's fucking favorite thing he loves hearing about.
Putting out half the fucking album before it even comes out. Looking at you, Memphis Mayfire. Here's the only difference, though. Cane Hill is a small enough band, unlike Memphis Mayfire and all these other bands, that I can understand it to a degree because they're really trying hard to keep traction. But at the same time, it's not as bad as Enemy, who fucking put out 9 out of the 10 songs out over the course of a year and a half and then dropped an album that was only 2 extra songs.
I mean, you kind of have this with this album too, because there are a couple songs on this album that are instrumentals.
Right. But it's also a decently length album. It's not just 10 tracks and you're out.
Yeah. So James Barnett, that's the guitar player.
Yes.
So Cane Hill's third album has come out from November 4th, so we're a little behind the 8 ball on this one. So this is what's kind of baffles me. They're on tour right now to support this album with Signs of the Swarm, Of Sulphur, and Awaken Providence. A bunch of bands that are nothing like them at all, which I find fucking hilarious.
Which is exactly how I think it should be done. There are times you want to go on tour with all your buddies and play songs you want to play, and then there's other times you want to just go out and bring out whoever you want to bring out.
And Cane Hill can roll with the heavier acts because they do have heavier songs.
Right.
No, so how would you even explain this album without just saying it sounds like Cane Hill, but a better Cane Hill?
I'm going to say it the way Nick Nocturnal said it, because I think that makes the most sense. Nick Nocturnal said that basically Cane Hill kind of did it the smartest way possible in terms of making their fans happy, the happy to hate ratio with fans. Because most of us know the metal elitists in the metal community and the gatekeepers, if you even let yourself get a little bit soft or start adding, cleans or whatever, they start losing their minds. The way he described it, and I think it's perfect, is Cane Hill put out an album, and then they put out another album, and then they put out another album that was a little bit more progressive, and they put out another album that was a little bit more progressive, and then they put out another album that was a little more progressive, and then they put out an EP called Kill the Sun, which was way different, and then they put out a couple of more EPs that were just kind of fine-tuning the super heaviness and letting people know they weren't heavy, and then they put out an album, this one, that is an amalgamation of everything they've put out so far. It has everything from the super heavy stuff. It has everything from almost the acoustic stuff. It has everything in between. So they slowly let everybody know that they're more and more progressive, and then they snapped the rubber band back to a degree and went somewhere perfectly in the middle, so that there's really nothing to complain about on this album.
No.
If you like the lighter Cane Hill, you have that. If you like the heavier Cane Hill, you have that, but they're mixed together in a very perfect ratio that no one can really bitch unless they're just it needs to be the heavy Cane Hill from fucking Smile all the time.
Yeah, we need to go back to their very first EP with Sunday School and everything and Oxblood just to try and retain the heaviness. But no, this Cane Hill has they've stepped into a really weird area in metal and rock where it's almost like you can't find a band that really sounds like them besides just saying it sounds like Cane Hill. There are songs that they do that have, similar ties to everything off Kill the Sun could also have been, an Alice in Chains song.
Right.
But they wear that on their sleeves and say that, this is what, we kind of were going for with this kind of sound. And when they're also at the point in their career where they are self-recording their own music. So
right.
we're getting the Cane Hill that Cane Hill wants you to hear.
Yeah, they are 100% independent now. They are doing this devoid of any pressure from anybody.
Yeah, that's why the last couple singles, like God is the Enemy, oh man, what's those other ones? Blood and Honey. Like, that's where you started kind of getting more experimental, because now they're completely self-reliant and can do their own thing now, which this album shows, and it shows it in spades. Like, this isn't like Linkin Park's new album where it's like they're bouncing around kind of like trying to appease every, era of their fan base. This is just
the difference is Linkin Park made it sound like they literally copy and pasted songs off of their one album each, or took a B-side directly off the albums. Cane Hill blended everything together and made it one homogeneous unit.
Oh yeah. Like, I think my favorite song off this one is it's the song Drowning Therapy.
Yeah.
And it's heavy when it needs to be. It doesn't pull back and become, the super poppy chorus. Like, these guys are from the South, and it shows in this music. It is definitely like kind of like almost kind of gross, slimy sound to it.
Right.
But also at the same time, like, this album can have its radio hits. This album can also have, its heavier stuff that they are going to be mostly playing live. And I can't praise fucking Elijah Witt's vocals on this album as much as I possibly
Dude,
can.
they're so top notch on this one.
Like, I'm looking at the professional reviews for this, and like, Lamb Goat only gave this a 5 out of 10. Which I'm kind of surprised. Fuck Lamb Goat. Boolin Tunes gave it a 9 out of 10, which is good. But this is the epitome of this album is 4 dudes wanting to make, that almost like Louisiana, New Orleans metal sound, and they're hitting it. It's like I Hate God was doing the same thing. Goatwhore was doing the same thing. Like, there's something about music that comes out of that area, especially the heavier music. Like, you get it with Whitechapel being from Knoxville, Tennessee, and you have these guys, I think are from New Orleans. Like, there's just something about it that's just, it feels dirty. It feels kind of like
you're in the swamp.
Exactly, which is, Singing in the Swamp comes from.
Right.
Yep, they're from New Orleans, Louisiana, so just a stone's throw from where I'm at. But it's 4 dudes from Louisiana that make an album that they want to make. And I think this album, if it's not going to be their magnum opus, it's getting really close to getting to the next album being a magnum opus for them.
Right. I think it will be. I think between this and Too Far Gone, those will be the contenders.
Oh man, Too Far Gone was better than it needed to be. Like, every album of theirs is a step up.
Yeah, agreed. Again, that's kind of where Nick Nocturnal, I quote his words, is like they slowly progressed continually over time.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not slowing down with it either.
No. So our next album, which I pitched to Josh, is Vended. For those of you that don't know who this band is, we should probably do a little bit of history. It involves the drummer is Sean Clown, Crahan's son. What?
It's Simon Crahan.
That's what I said. It's Sean Crahan Clown's son.
Yes. So Simon Crahan is the drummer.
And the lead singer is Griffin Taylor, the son of Corey Taylor, which basically makes this baby Slipknot. For those of you at home that haven't heard it yet, in my opinion, Josh and I are going to butt heads on this. I think it is mini Slipknot. I think it is... I'm going to give some opinions here. I like the album, first off. Let me start by saying that. I think the album was pretty darn good. I'd give it a 7 or 8 out of 10. There's some songs that kind of get repetitive and boring and sound like they're heavy for the sake of being heavy, and they just are kind of there. But with that being said, if I have an opinion to give, I honestly think this is Clown's way of continuing Iowa and first and self-titled album of Slipknot without Slipknot having to do it. I think this is a way of saying, like, hey, if you want old school Slipknot, listen to our kids' bands and make them famous. And if you want to listen to what Slipknot is actually doing, listen to what we're doing. I think I am so tired of Slipknot being a brand that I actually think that this band in and of itself is a brand for Slipknot, old school Slipknot fans that want to listen to old school Slipknot.
I can agree with that to a degree, but no matter what, these guys are going to be compared to Slipknot. They're going to be compared to the heavier albums that Slipknot has put out because they are a heavier band than Slipknot is now.
Fair.
Yeah, because it's crazy because I'm reading it right now talking about how they have not received extensive instructions from their fathers about how to do it, and that it's been supported by Corey Taylor and Sean, that they're all self-taught musicians and do this on their own. But I mean, this band is on their first album. They're independent. They've only been around since 2018. So I kind of don't buy that all that much.
I don't either.
No. And like we talked about, you and me had talked about this outside of the podcast, but it definitely is a way for Slipknot as a brand to continue, you know, if Corey Taylor and or Sean decide they don't want to do it anymore, then
Right. And
these two could step into that role. Because Griffin does sound a lot like a younger Corey Taylor with deeper vocals.
sound a lot like him. His vocal melodies are almost identical.
Which tells
Like,
me
when
that
you were
Daddy had more to do with it than he wants to say.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is you said that the dads had nothing to do with this. The fucking vocals, if nothing else, if you strip away the vocals or strip away the instrumentals and just listen to the vocals, it sounds exactly like Corey Taylor off the Iowa and self-titled albums. Exactly like him. Even the way the vocal melodies are formed. Now, they're not the exact same vocal melodies, but it's the exact same cadences, the exact same melodies, the exact same jumps, the exact same runs. It is Corey Taylor's kid, and it just sounds like an AI version of Corey Taylor.
In a way, I do think that Griffin's got a lot better lower register.
Agreed. I think he's gravelier than Corey ever was.
Yeah, so that's... If I didn't know that Griffin was Corey's son, I could buy that this is a different band and could just be like, well, he kind of sounds like Corey Taylor, but this is definitely more...
I think the opposite. I think if nobody knew that these were Slipknot's kids and you heard it, you'd be pissed because you'd be like, this is Slipknot. It's the same as... what are their names? What's his name? Vended Fleet and Led Zeppelin.
But those aren't their kids.
I know, but if tomorrow they came out and they said those are their kids, we'd all be like, okay, that makes sense.
Greta Van Fleet fucking suck.
Yep. I think you would be saying that if you heard Vended and you didn't know that it was Simon Crahan and Griffin Taylor. I think that you would be like, this band sucks because it's just a ripoff of Slipknot. I think that's exactly what everybody would say.
I think I would look at it more as this is a metalcore band that doesn't fully know what sound it's trying to go for, because a lot of these songs do sound very similar to the other ones. And
right. They do all have the same kind of feel.
Yeah, like there's a couple of them that stick out a little bit, in my opinion. Like the second song, I forget what it's called, the one that's not an intro.
Oh, hang on.
It definitely sticks out because there is no clean singing on it, and even the clean singing doesn't really sound super clean to begin with. So, yeah, I'm looking at the singles and the songs from their first EP. So they have their EP from 2021, and then this new full-length album is their debut.
Right. And again, that's not to say these are bad songs. I've gone back and listened to these songs for fun, just randomly. Been like, oh yeah, I want to listen to Dead to Me and stuff like that. So it's not like this band is terrible. I just think that it sounds exactly identical, especially vocally, to Slipknot did back in the day.
Well, and plus you have to kind of think about it from this perspective. Crahan is actually playing the drum kit, whereas Sean doesn't play a drum kit. He's just quoted as a percussionist because he hits a garbage can with a bat.
Right.
So there's a little bit different spread of talent on this album than you would expect from just being, Slipknot's kids.
Right. And also the fact that most of the guitar work is actually all the guitar work is not handled by Simon or Corey. It's two other guys. So your vocals and your drumming might sound like Slipknot, but I'll agree the guitars are way heavier than old school Slipknot was. There's a lot more chuggy breakdown slam sections than old Slipknot had.
Yeah, there's a lot more blast beats. Like I said, Griffin's vocals are a lot deeper than Corey's, like especially off the first two Slipknot albums. He had that kind of higher register that was more shout, almost like a punk shout in a lot of songs. Like this one definitely sets itself apart enough to say like, give us a chance because yes, we are the kids from the main people from Slipknot, but we're also not Slipknot.
Right. I'll say that's fair.
100% they're going to get that comparison no matter what. I mean, it's just going to happen. Cannibal Corpse's vocalist, if George Fisher's daughters came out in a death metal band, that's all you're going to compare it to.
Right.
It'd be the same exact thing. So I can understand the comparisons, but I feel like it does enough on its own to kind of step away from Slipknot and say, this is our own thing.
Right. Agreed. I can see that to a degree.
Like, I don't hate this album. Like, I've really disliked Slipknot's recent albums, but I don't dislike this album. And the only thing I dislike about it is the fact that it sounds very samey.
Right. Agreed.
But no, I do recommend this album. If you're a metalcore fan, if you're a deathcore fan, I do recommend checking this album out. You're not getting like volume 3 rock songs from Slipknot. You're not getting, anything close to those ones. It's a heavier iteration, but it could be the start of something really good for these guys' careers to kind of jump off of and not have to be, Slipknot's kids.
I would love to see how they progress. Like, I will say that. I think if they progress well and they change it up every album or so and they kind of do the Cane Hill Architects thing where they grow every album, I think this will be a stellar band.
Yeah, it's a good first step.
Correct. Yeah, I agree. All right. And with that, we're almost at the hour mark. So once again, I have been Frasier.
And I think I'll always be Josh. I think I'm just going to accept that now.
Yeah. And this has been another episode of the Dissonant Harmonics podcast. Hopefully our news doesn't take as long next time because we won't have 2 weeks of news to catch up on. But we will catch you all next week. And we hope to catch you later.
Oh, we'll catch you later. We'll find you. We will get you.
Okay. Now it's borderline felony.
Borderline. I can ride that line.
Right. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.